So I am very excited to have the 13-minute podcast, Why Every Man Needs a Why, my brother outlaw, Brian Rosen. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, brother not-in-law?
And not-in-law. I like outlaw better. It
I like
sounds
it better.
edgier.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is to say you were married at one point in time to my sister.
Yep.
To put it in easy man speak.
Yep. And still co-parenting well.
So co-parenting well, still on my, you're on my podcast.
Fantastic.
Right?
Yeah.
Can't be that bad.
Yeah.
So now you've I think modeled of what a healthy divorce and a life of purpose looks like. So it's a lot about you.
I appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
So I wanted to have you on for multiple reasons. Number one, you're a good dude. Number two, and I just described some of it. Number two, you're in a peer group of which I formed. And I want to hear about that. And I want to hear about your journey because, one of the reasons why I started this podcast, 13 Minutes, Why Every Man Needs a Why, is because every guy I know and coach and love and walk beside has been through it, right? And guys out there listening need to know that there are other men who have been through it or going through it, and that there is a way through it. And in peer groups, we always talk about, we don't tell another man what to do. We experience share. And that's really what, to me, this podcast is about sharing your experience. And it's been a pretty remarkable experience.
Okay. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So why don't you tell us, if I say to you, share your journey that brings you to this kind of moment in time so people can get to know Brian Rosen a little bit. Why don't you just tell us what that means?
Okay, sure. I mean, when I think about my journey, I think about my life in its entirety, and starting with childhood, of course. I was born in the Midwest in Des Moines, Iowa.
Wait, did I know this?
I think we talked about it.
Man, I forgot that.
Yeah. So I was born in Des Moines in September 1973, and moved around a bit with my dad's work from Midwest City to Midwest City until we landed in Omaha at the age of 2. And I don't really remember much at 2 or 3 or 4, but
Huskers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's one of my first memories is you will like Nebraska Cornhusker football. Still do.
Well, you don't have that many choices.
Right.
What else are you going to do?
Exactly. And my younger brother and I are about 7 years apart. So I remember when he was born, how excited I was to have a little brother and to be a big brother. And he and I lived with my parents until the summer after 3rd grade. For me, my parents told me they were getting divorced. And so, like for any kid, it was upsetting. In hindsight, it was the best thing for them, best thing for myself and my brother.
Put a pin real quickly. I don't want to forget to ask, how old were your boys when you got divorced?
So 8 and 4.
So 8 is like the same age?
Yeah, about the same age.
Wow. We'll circle back to that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so my dad remarried shortly after that. I can remember, the grass is always greener. I was living with my mom and my brother and wanted to live with my dad. I thought it would be more fun because maybe I wasn't having as much fun or enjoying life as much as I wanted to at home with my mom, and asked my dad, I want to live with you. And he said, I'm busy with work and I just don't really have time to, raise a child. And
oof, I hear the cats in the cradle playing in the background.
Yeah, exactly. But then of course he and his wife, had a baby. So, for me, it's like, okay. And then from there, as far as my dad's concerned, he and his family moved to Michigan. He had some professional opportunity there that he took advantage of, and moved to West Bloomfield, of all places. That's relevant to our story, you and I.
That's where my dad was
exactly.
when he left this world.
Exactly. Back home, things weren't so great.
But you were in Omaha this whole time.
Yeah, I was in Omaha the whole time, with my mom and my brother. And then, I acted out in certain ways, probably in a way that my mom couldn't handle. And so I actually went to a boys' home halfway through my 5th grade year.
Not a boys' home, the
Yeah,
boys' home.
yeah, exactly. So there's actually 2 in Omaha. I guess the one that most people would know and associate
We're
with.
talking about Boys Town.
So that's not where I was.
Oh, I thought you were Boys Town.
No, I wasn't.
Oh.
Yeah. So Boys Town, Father Flanagan.
Yeah.
There was a movie, Mickey Rooney. I wasn't there. I was at the Omaha Home for Boys, which is, I mean, you know where it is. It's in North Omaha, like 52nd and Ames. Okay. So not far from Benson, the neighborhood Benson. So I was there for, this was age 11. I remember going during winter break, and, it was not a smooth transition. It was just rather abrupt. Yeah. One day I was at, quote unquote home. And then the next I was at a home. And
again, how old were you?
I was 11.
That's a pivotal time.
Yeah, for sure.
Between years.
Yeah, for sure. And, at the Omaha Home for Boys, you have house parents. So you have house parents that are on for 6 days at a time, and then alternate house parents that are on for 3 days to give the full-time house parents a break. And of all the professions my house father could have been, he was a chief master sergeant in the Air Force, retired. And so, as you might imagine, that was pretty intense. Wow. To go from really no father at home to this guy.
Did you call him Master Sergeant?
I did not. I did say, sir. I said, yes, sir. So I settled into this, new reality, new place to live, new friends, new school.
So no contact with your family?
No, there was contact. We had, visits. Once a month we had like a weekend pass. So I could go back to my mom's house during that time. Mm-hmm. But just kind of settled into this new, at this young age, this new reality of life. And I will say it was easier than I thought it would be to, make friends. Obviously I lived with some other boys. There were 12 boys to a cottage. They were called cottages, and 3 boys to a room. So I had, 2 roommates. And the cottages were divided by age. So most of the boys in my cottage were my age, or give or take a year. And that was my existence for the rest of 5th grade, the following summer, and then all of 6th grade.
So a year and a half or so?
Year and a half. Yep.
It's a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a long time. So
what are your memories of that?
It's interesting. I have over the course of, my young adult life and my older adult life have kind of developed mechanisms to cope. And a lot of that is blocking out, certain things that, there were great memories, good memories, and not so good memories. So obviously trying to block out the not so good stuff, and in part unintentionally blocked out some of the good stuff as well. But memories would be, there was a recreation center, a pool, basketball court. So I did a lot of that stuff. Just there were, sports teams at the boys' home and other opportunities through, the schools. And so I kind of dived into that. I wouldn't really describe myself as super athletic at that age, but became athletic. Mm-hmm. That was one of my outlets. And then also, just, making new friends, at school. And, so Boys Town has its own school, mm-hmm. whereas the Omaha Home for Boys feeds into, it's literally a row of public schools as you walk, 52nd Street. So it's Fontenelle Elementary, Monroe Middle School. It was a junior high then, and then Benson High School.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you just follow wherever you are. That's where you're.
Exactly. Yeah.
Was your dad in Michigan during this time?
He was.
So did you have any interactions with him?
Very limited interaction. Yeah. Yeah. Limited interaction with my dad.
Wow.
And then periodic interactions with my mom.
Well, it must have been a formative time, and,
mm-hmm.
turned you into the man you are, which
Yeah.
obviously is a good thing. So
Yeah, in part.
So then you went from there back home. You were reintegrated.
Yeah, reintegrated back to my mom's home for what is now middle school. Back in the with a lot of the friends that I had known in elementary school.
Yeah.
So this was for 7th grade, and then
What was the reintegration like? I mean, were you? I guess it is personal for me.
Yeah,
As you know, I
sure.
had to have my son sent off to a therapeutic boarding school when he was a little later on in high school.
Yep.
And it was one of the hardest things me and his mother ever had to do.
Of course.
It was a little more dramatic, I imagine, because it was transported to another state. They call it gooning. So we had some guy show up in the middle of the night and
Oh wow.
escort him to it, and this was their protocols, and it felt terrible. And I've always struggled with it, guilt having to do it, but then there was also, from our side, a kind of a had to preserve the families as a unit, and it felt necessary. Again, I don't know if it was the right thing, but it was what we did. Maybe I would be interested if you'd be willing to share your experience from the other side of it. I mean, you were younger, so probably a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I don't know, have you talked to your mom about it since?
I have. And I actually went back, and we'll get to that after so I was there for 1.5 years, and then I was home for 1.5 years, and then I actually went back for 1.5 years.
And by choice or by force?
By force again. Yeah, but not my choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to be clear, at the Omaha Home for Boys, there are court-placed boys.
Mm-hmm.
I was parent-placed. It didn't get to that point, although it may have.
I'm sure it affected the population you were hanging out with.
Yeah, for sure. Where the Omaha Home for Boys is located is not the same look and feel of where I was living before.
Mm-hmm. A little rougher neighborhood.
But I have to say, like, the kids that I met at the home and the friends that I made at school were all great, and definitely helped form me as a person, and also my just the way that I viewed other people. Had I not had that experience, I mean, inevitably I would have at some point, but at that young age, I don't think I would have experienced different types of people, different cultures. So I'm actually, in hindsight, very grateful for that, to have experienced that at a younger age. But the reintegration back, so this would be, the people that I had, were most of whom I was friends with before. I met some new people because obviously middle school draws from several elementary schools. But it was kind of like almost like a different world. In terms of the structure I had at the boys' home and the friends I had there, versus, going back home. There was, some structure, nothing like, at the boys' home. And then just spending time with kids that were, mostly different from the kids I was hanging out with before. So it was not quite as big of a shock to the system as it was the other way around. Mm-hmm. But still, it took some getting used to.
But obviously it didn't totally take, because you ended up going back.
Right. Yeah. So I was back at my mom's house for all of 7th grade and half of 8th grade. And then again, at winter break, I went back. And I was at the boys' home then for the second half of 8th grade and all of 9th grade. So again, formative years in a different way, obviously a different time.
What sent you back in your adult estimation?
Same kind of things, just acting up, acting out in a way that my mom wasn't really equipped to deal with on her own. And so so I went back.
Must have been really jarring too, to have the master sergeant in one arena and no sergeant, or at least no father figure, in another arena.
Yeah. And for me, so when I went back the second time, it was not the chief master sergeant. It was a much calmer. In fact, I don't recall what his profession was prior to becoming a house parent, but he and his wife were very gentle. Might be not the right word, but certainly relative to the chief master sergeant. They were just gentler people, and going back in a way is kind of like going back home, in that I was familiar with the campus, the Omaha for Boys. I was familiar with a lot of the kids in the schools. And so it was, in a way, it was nice to reconnect with those people. Because in the, what was that, the 80s, in, late elementary, early middle school, you really have no way of connecting with those people, from my past, which became my present again. So it was nice to reconnect with them. And it was definitely a much easier transition going back the second time.
Were you angry at your mom for sending you there?
I was angry the first time. And I was maybe less angry the second time. But I just, again, I just adjusted.
So you graduated eventually
from high school,
from
the boys' home. Yeah.
You didn't go back a third time.
I did not go back a third time. I went back to my mom's house after ninth grade. They basically said there was really nothing more they could do for me. It's not like you go there to reform necessarily. Certainly some reform occurred while I was there. But I think quite honestly, I think they needed the space for someone, who really needed it.
So you'd matured enough to be in a healthy bounds of being a pain in the ass.
That, and I was also at an age where I could be more independent and not just, be at home all the time.
Right.
In my various activities, I was really into athletics at that point. I was always into sport.
You went to college and did sports, right?
I did. Yeah.
I did.
I ran track.
Yeah.
Yep. I did. Yeah. So yeah, again, that was my outlet. And so, between, sports, 3 sports, in high school and working, I really wasn't home all that much.
Which, then took you out into the world. You went to Nebraska.
I did. I went to the University of Nebraska. Yep.
You didn't play on the football team.
I did not play on the football team.
I mean, you look like you could.
Yeah, I could probably play on the football team today.
Maybe the former self. I don't know.
Right, the former self, or maybe a Cornhusker team in down years, like the last few.
Like the last 20?
But in the 4 years I was there, they won 3 national championships.
Yeah, not so much.
Yeah. So that wasn't happening.
Nice. So you went out into the world after that. Well, I know you married my sister.
I did. Yeah.
2001.
Yeah. We met in 1999. I was working for boys and girls clubs. So in college, I decided, or at least I thought I wanted to be a teacher and a coach, because those were the men that and women, but primarily men that I connected with, in middle school and especially in high school. And so I felt like I wanted to be like them. I wanted to teach, I wanted to coach. And so I was an education major with a minor in exercise science. I felt like that would benefit me in terms of, coaching. And so I took classes like physiology and anatomy and kinesiology, and really found those to be interesting. And so I graduated at semester in December, 9 semesters, not 7, like your sister. And
Wait, she took 9 semesters?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't even have the option to do 9.
Right.
Shelley softened in his later years. Yeah.
I guess so.
Okay.
So I graduated in December. There were no full-time teaching jobs at that time. And so I substitute taught in the Omaha public school system. And then I also applied for and was accepted for the position of aquatics director at the Boys and Girls Club in South Omaha.
Wow.
And so I had managed pools and lifeguarded throughout high school and college. So I was qualified for that position for sure. So I literally worked like from 7 a.m. to like 10 p.m. every day, which I really enjoyed. Kind of had a variety during the day in substitute teaching. I teach kindergarten or high school science or, middle school PE.
That's amazing. What's the statistic on male teachers in elementary school, it's staggeringly low.
Yeah, it's very low.
So you were really boosting those numbers.
Yeah, very low. Certainly at the elementary level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely more male teachers in middle school and high school, at least for me.
I mean, you don't have to be sort of a psychoanalyst to hear the father hunger
Yeah.
in the journey.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So I enjoyed that. And I had actually been the aquatics director for maybe 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an opening for the director of education, which definitely suited, my educational background more. And so I applied for that and served in that role. And I was the director of education for Boys and Girls Clubs when I met your sister in May of 1999.
Seems like something you're well suited for. Why didn't that necessarily stick as your professional trajectory?
Well, for a few reasons. So I left my position at Boys and Girls Clubs in the fall of 99. So I met your sister in the spring. We spent the entire summer together. She went back to Gainesville, Florida for one more semester of school. My birthday's in September. She bought me a ticket to come visit, and I decided not to use the return. I actually left my position at Boys and Girls Club. I found someone to take care of my dog and lived in Gainesville in I think it was a 4-bedroom apartment with 4 girls.
Rough.
Yeah, rough. Until she graduated in December of 99. We drove back to Omaha from Gainesville. And if you recall, we all went on a mission to Israel that your mom had organized.
I remember it was Y2K.
That's right.
Everybody's freaking out.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Yeah, nothing happened.
It was the Sabbath, the Shabbat there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like business as usual. Nothing.
Yeah. So she and I, as you know, got engaged on that trip. And a few months later, we returned to Omaha after the trip. And a few months later, we moved to, wait for it, West Bloomfield, Michigan. And so I'd never been there. And all the time my dad lived there, I didn't visit. And I remember his address, from the return address on a card.
But your dad was living there when
he wasn't living there when he had since moved back to Omaha.
Got it.
Yeah. But out of curiosity, I just drove, to see, where he had lived. And it was really right in the middle of, what would become our community for 3 years.
It's amazing how you and your father just miss.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Trading places.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And so, so she and I, Becky and I, rented a place in West Bloomfield. And to be clear, we went there to be close to your dad. We knew what Omaha was all about. We wanted to experience something else. We had visited West Bloomfield for Thanksgiving the year before we decided to move. And gave it a go.
I forgot, that piece of it. You and my father were pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was kind of a father figure too.
He absolutely was. Yeah, he absolutely was. He welcomed me into the family. And I was very grateful for that. And we had a close relationship. I remember he was living in West Bloomfield. And when Becky and I decided that we wanted to get married, I actually drove to so I was at a conference in Toledo, Ohio. And actually he drove to me from Detroit and we met. And I had told him that we had told him that we were considering getting married, and he actually gave me his mother's ring. I don't know if you remember that, that he had kept. And that's the ring that we had reset. And that became Becky's wedding ring. Yeah. And I remember obviously I'd spent quite a bit of time with him prior to that, but that particular, we met at a restaurant, which was a bar, and there was a pool table. We shot pool, and it was just a nice, 2-3 hours that we spent together.
It's so interesting. Obviously, maybe not obviously, but I didn't see this conversation going in this direction.
Right.
My father and I parted ways, we were really connected up until that point in his life. So where he and I sort of drifted apart, you came into his life and
Interesting.
came closer to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he and I, it's just interesting, right? It's like you have this same story. It's like Wicked kind of thing, right? You have the same story shot from two different angles, and it's two different stories.
That's interesting.
Because the man that I knew and loved, to me, he almost died when he went to West Bloomfield.
Right.
He left behind who I wanted or maybe needed him to be or expected. And, I'll own what I need to own in this grown-up version of it. But at the time, I've always felt abandoned by that choice for him to leave his wife, to leave his business, to leave his friends, to leave his community, to go to West Bloomfield. I always saw it as a running away, but that wasn't your experience, which is interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, obviously I didn't have the backstory
for sure
that you experienced. Yep.
And so I, now I can sort of see, I don't know, this intersection of our lives around my dad, and also my dad filling, in some ways, I imagine, a void that you didn't feel like you had with your dad.
For sure.
Is that something you're comfortable talking about?
Absolutely, of course.
So where are you and your dad today?
So my dad and I, we have a relationship. Whenever I go to Omaha for a significant amount of time, I always make it a point to see my dad. Usually involves he and I and his wife and their son sharing a meal out, and inviting me back to their home to sit and talk and catch up about me, about my sons, his grandsons.
It feels cordial.
It does.
Neighborly.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it does.
necessarily feel beyond that.
Yeah. We don't really speak that much in the interim. He actually has some surgeries coming up. He was a runner as well. And he's always had issues with his knees. And so he's actually having both knees replaced. And so we were just texting about that the other day. He, wants to get it behind him, obviously. And they keep moving up the first one, which in turn moves up the second one. I think you have to wait 3 months or something.
So you feel like you've healed some of the rift?
Some of it. Yeah, some of it. I certainly have done a lot of work on my own through therapy and just self-reflection in terms of, my childhood and my young adult life. And I think I used to feel sorry for myself. In fact, I know I did. That's not the case anymore. These are things that I no longer take personally. I certainly didn't have any control over it. And it was only hurting me to hold on to that.
If you could go back and wave a magic wand over it all and make it, leave it to Beaver, would you do it?
I don't think I would.
Yeah. Interesting.
There's always conversations, with whomever, friends, where, do you have any regrets? And yeah, of course I have regrets, but I don't know that I would change it because I wouldn't be sitting here right now, this version of myself.
Yeah.
I feel like all of that stuff, the great, the good, the not so good, had to happen for me to be where I am. I mean, if I would have changed one thing then, I may never have met Becky, and we would not have had our beautiful sons, and so on and so on. And so, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I think you said it well. No, I think it's important to get to a place in life where you can just own it all. Right?
Yeah.
Not just like cherry pick it.
Yeah, exactly.
Plus, it's like, who knows the devastating consequences if you did wave the magic wand.
Right.
And,
exactly.
Who knows what you'd be like today, or who knows
for sure
what your kids would be like today.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that my dad was equipped to raise me at the time I needed that. I don't think my mom was either, clearly. She, sought outside help with that. I think maybe having two kids for her was too much. One that was acting out and one that was 7.5 years younger that wasn't.
Well, I think part of what we're doing too as men when we do this is, going back and healing and reassigning, I don't want to say blame, but responsibility.
Yeah.
Because I imagine, you tell me if this is true or not, at the time it's my mom's fault sending me to a home, kicking me out, when in fact she signed up for 2 boys with a husband.
Yep. 100%.
That was the agreement.
Sure.
And then to be left And to be raising two boys, I mean, I'll tell you, you're raising two boys
I am.
alone as a female, not as a male.
Sure.
Totally different ballgame.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. No, I definitely give her a lot of grace.
So,
Yeah.
but we can only do these things. Well, I don't know if only, but most of us do them in retrospect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
On the other side.
Yeah, for sure.
Also having had our ass handed to us by our kids.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you have two boys, which
I
I
do.
believe is part of this whole contract.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. So I have two juniors, rising juniors. Jacob is 20 years old. He'll start his junior year at film school in Los Angeles at Loyola Marymount. And I have a junior in high school. Sam is 16 at South High School here in Denver. Yep.
Do you see yourself in your boys?
I do. I do.
Both of them?
Both of them. Different stages.
Different boys.
Yeah.
Very different.
Completely different boys, as you know. Yeah. Yeah, but I see pieces of me in both of them. And yeah, a lot of the great stuff, a lot of the good stuff. And, you know, every now and again, some of the not so good stuff. But we, you know, work through it as best we can.
I feel like if we're here for at all, we're here for a reason. And if we're here for a reason, it's bound up in our, especially our families, not only, but primarily, and healing, you know, we call it in Judaism, Lador, Vador, generational. And I think of it as generational healing.
Yep.
Or else, you know, like if this is true in science, evolution, Darwin, we're here to evolve as a species. I have to believe we're here to evolve as human beings and generationally healing. So, you know, thinking about where you've come from and where your boys are, do you feel like you're participating in a generational healing? I
do, absolutely. In fact, sometimes when I'm parenting, and even at 20 and 16, I'm still parenting, albeit different. I feel like I'm parenting myself at the same time. I feel like I'm parenting them in a way that I would have wanted when I was their age, doing things that I would have wanted to do. Working through, you know, problems, issues with them in a way that, you know, I would have wanted to do.
I think it makes it worthy, right? There's Viktor Frankl talks about, quoting Dostoevsky in Master Shemini, he says something to the effect of, please, Lord, make me worthy of these burdens. Like, don't just make them meaningless. I want it to be meaningful.
Yep.
And then the burden's not exactly a burden anymore.
Yep.
Right? It's part of the journey.
Yeah.
So I've seen you do a lot of work around that father hunger healing process, which has been pretty powerful to watch. But you're not just a dad.
Right. No, not just a dad.
Grandpa.
Yeah, I'm also a grandpa. So
that's crazy.
We'll go back to, this would have been my senior year of high school. My girlfriend got pregnant. And so.
Serious girlfriend or just a girl who got pregnant?
No, we were, I mean, we hadn't been together, you know, a long time, but we actually were together for several years after. So I think in total 4 or 5 year relationship. Cared a lot about her, loved her very much. And, at the time, I remember she found out she was pregnant in April. So this was literally like a few weeks before I was graduating high school.
Wow. That's a heavy load.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, you know, she was freaked out. And then I was freaked out. What are we going to do? All right, well, let's think about it. Let's not tell our parents. 30 minutes later, her mother calls my mother.
Some secrets just kept and shouldn't be kept.
Yeah, exactly. And we,
what was that like?
It was surreal.
I mean, like life ending, or, I mean, did it feel like your life
No, it didn't feel like that at all, but it definitely felt like, holy shit. Yeah. Can I say shit?
When you get a girl pregnant in high school, you better say shit.
So we decided that, you know, after some, we had options. 3, as I see it. We could have ended the pregnancy. We could have raised this child, or we could do what we did, which was to enlist the help of a service in Omaha, Child Saving Institute, it's called. It still exists today, though they don't facilitate adoptions. So we went and met with a counselor at CSI, it's called for short, and just started working through the months that we had ahead of us.
Wow.
And
That wouldn't be the obvious choice growing up in our world. I mean, unless there were religious values at
Right.
play. Were there religious values
there
on her
really
side?
weren't. Alyssa, the birth mother, came from a Catholic family. And there was really no religion in my family at that time. And so, and by default myself. So no, it wasn't really that. It was just kind of, what we wanted to do, what we felt, was right for us.
Wow.
And so, we came to that through some counseling at CSI, and then it came time to like, okay, well, what does this look like? And I started talking about, I remember they gave us a questionnaire, like, what do you want in adoptive parents? I'm like, I don't know. I'm a kid.
Not me.
Yeah. Right. Not me. Yeah. That was, yeah. And so we filled it out, and they, gave us 3 options basically for parents who were wanting to adopt. And we chose the one that, resonated with us the most, the couple.
Crazy, the power that you had to
Yeah.
like somebody's destiny and
Yeah.
flipping
100%.
quarters kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. Talk about destiny. So we chose this family, and a few weeks later, we were scheduled to meet with this couple. All we knew is, she was in education, and, he was in business, and they actually had a 4-year-old son. They had started the adoption process prior to the birth of their son, but stayed with it because they were having trouble conceiving a second. They wanted a bigger family. And so I remember by this time, I was at the University of Nebraska. I'd started my first year of college, and I drove up from Lincoln. And Alyssa and I went to CSI, and we were in a room waiting, for the counselor and this couple to walk in, and in walks my 6th grade teacher and her husband.
Wow.
Talk about small world.
From Benson?
From Fontenelle Elementary when I was in the boys' home.
Oh my God. Talk about like full
exactly.
circle here.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know who she was, prior to the meeting, and she didn't know who I was. But obviously we recognized each other immediately. And, it was a difficult situation, but after having met each other again, it became much more comfortable, as you might imagine. Mm-hmm. And so, I would come from, Lincoln for, Alyssa was still in Omaha, for Lamaze classes and things like that, just to prepare for the birth. And, late November, 1992, November 29th at, I think it was 8:56 PM. Don't ask me how I remember that. Our birth daughter was born, and, we knew she was having a girl, and we'd come up with a name, and the adoptive parents actually asked if we'd flip the first name with the middle name because they really liked the middle name we had chosen. And so Lauren was born then, and it was beautiful.
What was that like to hand her over?
So it was interesting. We actually stayed in the hospital for a night or two. I don't recall which. And then from there, we had decided that, Alyssa wanted Lauren at her home with her parents and her 2 siblings for a night. And then I would have Lauren, with my mom and my brother for a night. And then the next day, Alyssa and I and Lauren drove to the adoptive parents' home, and they call it relinquishment. I don't like the word relinquishment, letting go. I don't like the word putting up for adoption. They're just, I don't know. To me, and no offense to anyone who uses those terms, but to me, it's just a little impersonal. Mm-hmm. And so, but Alyssa and I and Lauren drove to their home and literally handed Lauren to them and signed some paperwork, and that was that.
Could you have changed your mind?
We could have changed our mind up to the last minute.
God, I can only imagine what it's like for the adoptive parents.
Yeah. I mean, we've all seen movies where they're just, they get, the birth mother changes her mind, or it's just a total scam or whatever it is. But this wasn't that. It was from the time that we met that first time, it was, and of course we had feelings like, are we doing the right thing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, should we raise this child? But fortunately we stayed the course, and things have worked out really well, actually.
And so Lauren had a good life with this family.
Amazing life. Lauren, Alyssa and I rather would visit Lauren periodically when she was very young, until the time, you know, she was kind of old enough to understand that, okay, well, who are these people and why are they coming over?
Were you asked to not visit anymore, or you just sort of
We were. Yeah, we were. It wasn't abrupt. It was more just kind of like, this is what we're feeling. And so, you know, we took a step back, and that was actually around the time Alyssa and I split.
Oh,
And
you were still together with
we
her?
were still together.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then you lost contact, or consciously didn't have contact?
Yeah, we didn't really lose contact so much as just stopped visiting.
Mm-hmm.
Lauren's family would, you know, send photos, and there would be like an occasional phone call just to kind of, you know, she's doing this and that sort of thing.
Yeah. How did it feel like because you were reunited with her?
Yeah. Yeah. So
a couple years ago?
Actually, it's been quite a while. So I would say about 13 years went by from the time I saw her, you know, as a, you know, 4-year-old or however old she was, to fast forward to high school. I actually, she reached out and asked me if I wanted to watch her run, because she became a runner.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, she did track and field, but this was actually in the fall. It was a cross country meet.
And she was good.
She was good. Yeah, she was excellent. And it was, of all the places, it was my high school invitational.
No kidding.
Yeah. And so, so I traveled to Omaha, of course, to, for me, of course, watch her run, and stood, you know, with her family, her adoptive parents, her parents. And, it was a great experience.
And, you've stayed in contact with her since?
Yeah. Ever since then, you know, through high school and college, I went to her college graduation, and, you know, she, while in school at the University of Nebraska also, she met a boy at work, and he was at Nebraska Wesleyan, just a private university, not too far from Nebraska. And they ended up, you know, getting engaged and getting married. And of all the places to be from, you know, he's from Lakewood. So they actually lived with his parents for a short time in Colorado, where I was living. And so, you know, I got to see her that much more. And then they got married. And so the boys and I went to her wedding, and got to experience that.
God, what was it like for the boys?
Yeah, it was wild.
I mean, you explained obviously who she is.
Yeah, I explained who she is. I mean, they currently have a almost 33-year-old half sister and a 9-year-old half sister. So it's
wow.
Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, and I remember that first meeting. You know, Lauren was in Colorado, and obviously the boys and I were here, and I spoke with Becky about it, and this is what I'm thinking. I'd like to introduce the boys to Lauren and her to them, and we just met at a breakfast place, and I still have a photo from that day, the first day they met, and it's pretty wild to have those two worlds come together.
And now you're a very young grandpa.
I am, yeah. So, as I said,
are you called grandpa? Are you identified as?
I'm actually called Zadie.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, I know. So they got married, and not too long after that, we're pregnant, you know, with their first child. Wes is now 3. Well, he turned 3 in January, so 3.5. And then Flynn was born about 15 months ago. He turned 1 in April. So when they were pregnant with Wes, they actually asked me what I wanted to be called, and I just thought of Zadie. I didn't want to steal Pop from somebody. I don't think anybody else was going to really want Zadie, so I that's just kind of what, you know, naturally came out, and that's what they call me.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I go back 3-4 times a year. I go back for Wes's birthday and for Flynn's birthday, and whenever else I'm in town, I always make it a point to.
It's beautiful. It really feels back to at least my theme of generational healing.
For sure.
Right. That you're an active father, grandfather to your child, even if you're not a part of her life.
And, we talk periodically. We don't talk all the time. I kind of just, she knows I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't want to push myself. I did not raise her, obviously. I introduced myself as her birth father. It's really amazing at different events, whether it be a engagement party or a gender reveal party. They actually had one, to be introduced and for people to come up to me and say, thank you for this decision you made. And I'm just, so grateful that I, at that very immature stage of my life relative to, now, that we just made a decision that affected all of our lives for the better.
Look, I'm not political here at all, but it's a case for pro-life.
Sure.
Like everybody has to have their own choice. But when you hear a story like that, it's like you could have ended that destiny. Mm-hmm. And by not doing anything, like, wow. I mean, in the right context, the right circumstances, like fight for life. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely don't get political, certainly not in that area. But how could I not every time I see Lauren and, just everything that's happened since she was born.
Yeah.
All the friends,
essentially. It's like,
the friends she's made, just the familial connections with, her parents who raised her and her brother and now her children. It's super powerful.
I can only imagine what her parents and friends and husband and children all think, when they contemplate that moment in time where two teenage kids, have their finger on destiny. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow. Yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like you really have been doing a lot of work in this lifetime to, again, heal those rifts or those broken elements of your family and repair the generational journey.
For sure. Yeah. It's just kind of fumbling through it, what I'm guided to do. And, normally I'm able to stick to that and just follow that intuition. Mm-hmm. But it's been a lot of hard work, but good work. Yeah. Good work.
And maybe we'll sort of wrap up with this, but now you're in a men's peer group.
I am.
What's that been like in regards to everything we've talked about and whatever else?
Yeah, it's been incredible. And I've said it to you before privately. And now again, I want to say thank you for creating it first and foremost, but also for including me, and just grouping me with these men whom I probably never would have met in any other circumstance. Maybe. We're all so different in terms of our backgrounds and even our current life circumstances. Mm-hmm. But we all share a lot of similarities. And I think to have this venue, this safe space to share. Of course, we know women do that all the time.
More organically.
Yeah, organically. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Not in peer groups per se, but in, drinking club, book clubs or whatever it is. I don't know. It's just, I can't imagine life without it now. Just, meeting with these men once a month, more or less, and just all the tools that are in place to guide us. Certainly they helped guide us in the beginning, and we're kind of, we still use the tools, but we don't really need them in the way that we did when we were learning. Mm-hmm. I think about these men, when different circumstances come up for me, what would I say in group? What life experience would they share, to potentially help, guide me in a direction. Mm-hmm. But just to have that intimate, which is not really a word that, a lot of men use when describing a relationship with one another, mm-hmm. to have these intimate relationships with these men and to, just share. And I mean, there's some pretty heavy stuff. Some of it's not, but a lot of it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of men out there have preconceived notions of a peer group, either as you wear a loincloth and you drum, or you're just a bunch of broken guys, and it's more of a recovery kind of a group. Which
Yeah.
nothing wrong with those things, but
Yeah.
To me, it's just, we don't have a frame of reference. Most guys at our age for what a peer group is, I think you're doing a good job describing it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're a group of strong men individually and collectively, who have things that pop up, vulnerabilities that we share and work through.
And who want to do more than just have friends, buddies, right? More buddies to do events. Like, how many guys in our lives, when they're, golfing buddies or poker buddies or whatever it is, do we really tell the truth to?
Mm-hmm.
Go deep.
Right.
And it's wanted and expected and invited.
Yeah. It's definitely much more natural to go deeper with the men in the peer group, for sure.
And also, I imagine too, not having had the sort of strong father figure that you wanted, to have strong men around you now is,
for sure,
is also part of the healing process.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think, for me as a man, I'm just a collection of all the men that I modeled myself after, whether it be a teacher or a coach or just somebody who I thought was fucking cool. Mm-hmm. And just, I'm just kind of and maybe we all are, just a version of a bunch of the greatest hits of other men.
I think it was my son or somebody said that you are like the X amount of people you hang out with.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
for sure.
That's, you become your circumstances.
Yeah.
Better or worse. So choose wisely.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
And I love that about the peer group. These are men who self-selected to say, I want to do more than just define myself by external success or whatever.
Yep.
And go deeper.
Yep.
Good stuff, my man. Wow, what a journey you've been on, and God willing, we'll continue to evolve. And next time we'll talk about chapters of love and what's ahead on that front.
All right.
We'll get into your profession and doing good work here in Denver as a realtor. And so just so much more ahead of us. This is the first of many conversations.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to all those.
Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
All right.